Professor Shyam Sundar from Yogi Vemana University, Andhra Pradesh. I'm not fortunate enough to share the deliberations yesterday, and from the morning I've been observing that most of the participants are the speakers are from technological universities, more so concentrated on their views with regard to implementation of these IT solutions, so on and so forth. At the outset, I first try to join with Professor Arora, who said that it is the relation between the two, the teacher and the taught. We have to keep that in mind. And at the same time, with regard to the quality of the students that are coming under the purview of the traditional universities, I'm talking about traditional universities, not the technological universities. And most of the speakers, including my own friend Tulsiram Das Garu, said that most of the students are coming for engineering without having an aptitude to have that education because of several false competitions, false pressures from their own parents, or in some cases from their own teachers, so on and so forth. Anyhow, the quality supposed to be intelligent students are being filtered away at that stage, and only leftover people are coming for these BScs, BA, BCom, so on and so forth. Of course, we are not directly connected with the BA, BSc, BCom students, but at the same time, these traditional universities, they are going to conduct the examinations. By virtue of that fall in the standards of those students, somehow they complete the BA, BSc, BCom or something like that. Thereafterwards, again they are going for this MBA and MCA courses. And coming to the fundamental sciences and other subjects, being a teacher of chemistry for the last 35, 36 years, I do find a lot of difference in the aptitudes of the students, in their patience, in sitting in the classroom, because as so many people mentioned the same thing, when we used to be the students, there used to be a lot of at least we never pretended, but we used to have some craze to listen to the teacher, to get something out of it, and then try to exploit the teacher's knowledge in all means, I'm repeating, taking his books, listening to his lectures, so on and so forth. Thereafterwards, with these things, again, the subject that is being given to me by the organizers is with regard to critical role of industry, academia interface in enhancing education. Of course, I find some of the slides by the speakers as IT education. I wanted to harp upon the education in general. Suppose the main issues that are being contemplated are contemporary relevance, global competitions in all rounds, all fronts, paradigm and a shift in all domains. Industry academia collaboration is indispensable. There is no doubt about it. In order to get the salability for the students, it is a must. Of course, again, coming to the statistics, India is the third largest educational system in the world, producing third largest stock of the educated manpower. And democratization of education to ensure diversity and healthy socio-economic development is the another aspect that is to be dealt with. Thereafterwards, the public-private partnership is one more aspect. Public-private partnership is another aspect. And then the other threat to the conventional universities is from corporate universities. And then other tools, that is National Knowledge Network and organizations, all these things. With all these things in the conventional universities, of course, the campus cannot cater the needs of about 1,600 people or 1,500 people at maximum. But at the same time, the trend of the students for learning and implementing their views for their own benefit at the later stage is coming down. And mostly with regard to these government policies of free education, so on and so forth, it is also causing the deterioration in the outcome of the results of the students. Because he is not paid, he is not paying anything from his pocket, he don't have any devotion. That is the reason why they are not very much bothered. Moreover, these factors, they have become the issues on the campuses or the colleges, so on and so forth. Lot of unrest and indiscipline is going to be there. And then, of course, with regard to this, how best we can utilize these things in mind, and then can promote at least the people that are there for a good cause, for a good interaction, in order to get them good opportunities in the society. And it's in other words, it's going to be a scalability. Certain job-oriented courses started flourishing, resulting in the perishing of the conventional courses. Science courses are much sought after, of course, and humanities and arts courses are looked down as they are considered to be lack of market value. And at the same time, I insist upon the fact that most of the civil service students, they switch over to the humanities and arts subjects for their scoring marks in the those civil preparations and all that. The gross enrollment ratio in the institutions of higher learning is also disturbing. Lack of qualified staff and disproportionate ratio are really hampering the academic progress of the country. Hitherto we are talking about the students only. Coming to the teaching community also, most of them are not at all interested in delivering their goods. And then lack of proper funding and absence of long-term policies have really affected the education scenario in India. Of course, the launching of new IITs, central universities and other premier institutions is a healthy sign. The current 12th plan focuses on 30% growth in the government resource planning as a part of the program India Excellence Initiative. The proposal of the digitally interlinking 31,000 institutions through National Knowledge Commission is another positive step in accomplishing the academic growth. The report of NKC, established in 2006, also felt that the academic excellence is a key tool for achieving rapid inclusive growth. One of its recommendations is to improve educational sector so as to promote knowledge applications in agriculture and industry. Consideration of the relevant aspects pertaining to our industrial sector is equally important after understanding higher education scenario in the country. After the liberalization initiative of the then government of India under the stewardship of Sri P.V. Narasimha Rao, in the capacity as Prime Minister, foreign investments have been pouring in. In spite of that, industrial growth is at 5 to 6%, which sounds pessimistic. Even in the industrial sector, the governments started nurturing the policy of disinvestment, but industrial development in certain states is hampered by power shortage, low subsidy offers by the governments, and some regional problems. The private participation increased by leaps and bounds, and to a greater extent, promotion of dynamic and forward-looking entrepreneurs who wish to set up industries and generate job opportunities for those who deserve is achieved and attained to a certain extent. Unlike the educational sector in India, the industry is progressing, keeping in pace with innovative technologies and changing marketing strategies. The industry is more consumer-oriented, and consumer satisfaction alone enables them to survive in the market. Industry today is keen to harness the innovative and creative potential in the youth. They look for managerial, organizational, communicative competencies in order to equip their firms with resourceful manpower. The industry largely depends on the qualitative products from institutions of higher learning who can deliver goods. Indian industry, after the liberalization, has become marginally more aware of the vital interrelationship between the education system and business and corporate productivity. However, this awareness of industry engagement with academia is tentative and ritualistic than real, and vice versa is also true. Today there exists a principal-agent relationship between the institute and the industry, and input of one factor is critical for other. And then coming to the following initiatives may certainly boost the rapport between the industry and academia: setting up industry facilitation cells in the universities, making the entrepreneur development cells more functional, appointment of liaison officers both in the industries and educational institutions, establishing strong linkage between teaching and research, university and research, involving experts from the industry in curriculum designing, participation of industry in drafting educational policies, strengthening public-private partnerships, industry collaboration for revenue generation, constitution of working groups for constant mutual support, valuing industry and research experience in recruitments, encourage joint research for innovation and competitiveness in the global economy, promoting consultancy services, funding industrial tours, so on and so forth. That is how the thing is. There are certain examples wherein even the foreign organizations like University of California, San Francisco, for 130 years, it used to have only traditional medical education and so on and so forth. They don't have any interest in promoting and advancements. Somehow they started changing from 1968 when collaborative approach to fundamental research started attracting some of the brightest scientific minds, and they wanted to have a more advanced biomedical research, besides being the largest employer in the San Francisco. A few other projects like Magnet and Fraunhofer Society, European Framework Program, so on and so forth, are also equally useful. And coming to the local issues, in Krishna districts, the interface between the academia industry and government's collective action should be help the institution to develop as a business entrepreneur, in turn benefit the employees and also economic progress of the country. The above theory is tested in the study of the Krishna district milk product producers mutually aided by cooperative unions in Andhra Pradesh. The collaboration is enhancing the entrepreneurial skills of the stakeholders apart from providing multi-level help from government to develop the society into a profitable venture. The various challenges that are being contemplated in industry collaborations are awareness, identification, evaluation, protection, and commercialization of the ideas, giving systematic satisfaction at both ends. Industry-academia collaboration requires a constant reviews as both the domains are governed by the dynamics of the economy. Discussions, deliberations at meaningful forums like this will go a long way in streamlining the current approaches by paving the way to the newer thoughts and values. This is my viewpoint. Thank you.